But with that being said, Jaden Daniels, has had a, phenomenal season. Obviously, he'll be the rookie of the year. And, I just think that they did a good job of using his strengths that he had in college and, giving him that run pass option. And that's very hard to cover, because not only can he, throw the ball with accuracy from the pocket with all of the different receivers they have around him. His team is built very similar to the offense he had at LSU when he won the Heisman Trophy, but also he can make plays with his legs. And so when you couple that, those two things together, and also just being able to run the ball from a traditional sense, it's hard to stop. And teams have had trouble figuring out how to stop this team from scoring. They've been running up the score on everybody, so that's kind of the story on Washington. They put up a lot of points in bunches, and it's just hard to keep up with them. It's hard to get off the field on third down, and that's kind of what we saw in the second game. The first game, Philadelphia kind of controlled it, with the run game like they typically do. But once Jalen Hurts got hurt in the second game when they played towards the end of the season, Washington was able to get back into that game, because Philadelphia wasn't able to maintain their run game when the quarterback went out. It made him kind of one-dimensional. And then Jaden Daniels, man, he just caught fire, and they couldn't stop him. And there's a lot of talk about him being the greatest rookie quarterback of all time. I've heard, or just the greatest rookie in general in the history of the NFL. I like to pump the brakes on that. I heard a lot of, different sports media, ESPN, Fox, they were kind of debating that over the last couple of weeks. It seems like every time, Washington, advances further and further in the playoffs, like they have, there's been a lot of talk about him being the greatest rookie. I don't know about that. I do love Jaden Daniels, and I love what he's brought, but I think you have to, take things into consideration that there have been a lot of great rookie seasons in the history of the NFL, and so I wouldn't say it's the greatest rookie season. I've been watching football for a long time. I've seen a lot of rookies. I don't know if I can contribute the entire success of Washington just on the quarterback play. Obviously, it's been better than it has been in years past, but we kind of seen RG3 have a pretty good rookie season, and I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying, that was the last. When I think of a Washington quarterback, I think of RG3 because he had success in his first season. The only difference was he was banged up going into their playoff game, which that was what ultimately costed them against Seattle. So. But I don't like to make these super exaggerated conjectures. I hope this trend continues for him, but who knows? Who knows? However, on the other side of the field, we have a team that we kind of been expecting to be good. They are 2 years removed from the Super Bowl in Philadelphia, where they lost that heartbreaking game to Kansas City. And they kind of had a down year last year, kind of uneven season. And, this season they kind of started off uneven. But, man, when they got hot, they went on a 10-game winning streak. And, man, it was all because of Saquon Barkley and that run offense. That offensive line is a monster down in Philadelphia. Saquon Barkley, man, has rushed to the tune of, 2,000 yards, becoming the ninth player in NFL history to reached that milestone and had 13 touchdowns to go along with it. And Jalen Hurts has pitched in the run game as well. That unstoppable tush push. And when these guys get on the goal line or short yardage situation, man, forget about it. You are not stopping that play. I don't know if I've ever watched a game where I watched anybody stop it. The only time I actually see it get stopped is if they have some kind of foolish procedural penalty that force them to back up. That's the only way I've ever seen that tush push get stopped. So, but on the subject of that record, though, man, I will say this, man. It really ticked me off to watch them, sit Saquon that last game, not go for the record, man. I believe they robbed the fans of a great NFL historical moment, because I believe he would have gotten it, had he played in the game. And I just think, man, when we watch sports for different reasons, but I think a lot of times, man, we want to see these records get broken. These are things we may never, I would never forget if I watched a guy break a record, especially a record like this that's kind of hard to break, and during a time where the NFL has sort of moved away from, running the football. It was refreshing to see he and Derrick Henry, run the ball the way they ran. Derrick Henry didn't quite get to 2,000, but he was pretty close. But man, I just hated that, man. I look, man, I'm not about all of this. Well, injury and all of this kind of stuff. Man, look, you can get hurt rolling out of the bed. You can get hurt getting off the bus to the game, going up the stairs to the locker room. So I know that sounds silly, man, but I just always had that kind of mentality. Man, look, if I can play, I can play. We don't need to be, preserving ourselves, and robbing the fans from a great NFL moment, because that would have been a great NFL moment to see him break that record, especially against his old team. I mean, come on, man. I mean, who wouldn't have enjoyed that? Injuries be done, man. Ain't nobody trying to hear nothing about we trying to stay out there. Or if you even going for you got some kind of historical streak on the line. Listen, I get it. You wrapped up your playoff seeding, you won a division and all of this other stuff. But, man, don't rob us from history for the sake, because you don't know if you're going to win it all. I mean, I know that's the end game, but you doing all you better win it all if you're going to sit a man down when he that close to breaking a record. I think he only needed probably another close to 100 yards, somewhere around that. Don't quote me on that, but it wasn't much. And I'm pretty sure with that offensive line and the way he been running the football all season, he would have got – heck, man, he just ran for 200 in a playoff game. So – for him in that line, that wouldn't have been nothing, man. So, but anyway, I'm not gonna harp on that. That really frustrated me to have to think about that, because when I found out they were sitting them down, and I'm not even an Eagles fan. I don't root for the Eagles. I root for the Saints and other teams as well. If they have guys on the team from Louisiana, I typically like to root for my guys. That includes Jaden Daniels. I might sound like a hypocrite in a minute because I'm gonna make a pick on the game. So don't call me a hypocrite. But I'm pulling for Jaden Daniels. That's for sure. I'm just not sure if they'll win the game. And on that subject, let me go ahead and give y'all my pick on that. I think this game sort of boils down, to something as simple as Philadelphia run game versus Washington's run defense. Well, Philadelphia has been by far statistically the number one run team in the NFL. And Washington's defense, although they did a pretty good job against Detroit, who was also good at running the football last week, Philadelphia is a different animal. And there haven't really been a team that has been able to slow that running game down. I mean, Philadelphia is, 14-3 on the year. Washington was the last team to beat them, but as I mentioned earlier, Jalen Hurts got knocked out of that game early. Funny enough, he's actually coming into this game kind of, gimpy, so that may play an impact in the game. I will say this. Well, first off, I'm picking Philadelphia to win the game because ultimately I don't think Washington will be able to slow Philadelphia's run game down enough to pull the game out. I think that's really all they have to do. On the flip side, there is a path that Washington can win the game. I just don't know if I just don't believe they're gonna be able to do it. They basically have to, play with the lead and be able to dictate the terms of the game where you can make it to where Philadelphia has to play catch up and abandon their running game and lean more on their passing game. See, that's the thing with Philadelphia. Although they have a lot of talent with the pass game, with the receivers of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert and Jalen Hurts, of course, at the quarterback controls, for whatever reason, this year they just haven't been able to find a successful rhythm, and it's led to a lot of frustration. You can see it on the players' faces, particularly A.J. Brown. I'm always kind of looking at him when I do watch Philadelphia throughout the season when they're on a national televised game. And you can kind of see whether they winning or losing, he's pretty frustrated if he's not getting the ball, but he's going to tolerate it because, winning cures all. You can't really complain too much, if you're winning. So if they do lose the game and they're not able to throw the ball, like I'm thinking they, would be a weakness if they were forced to rely specifically on the pass, then I want to see his comments. That's the first person comments I'm going to look at after the game press conference. I want to watch because I want to see, what's going to be. Because you remember they had the little, spat or quote-unquote spat earlier in the season. Matter of fact, the last time they lost to Washington, if I'm not mistaken, it was after that game or was it a different game? I can't remember, but I know that him and Jalen Hurts was beefing for a little minute, and they kind of smoothed it out. But that's what winning does. So but all in all, I would have to say Philadelphia is at home. This is the third game of the trilogy, and these teams know each other pretty well. Anything could happen, but I'd have to say Philadelphia at some point, that running game and that elite